In this video, you're going to learn the essential tech stack to launch your course and membership site in style, looking good, so you can get your first enrollments, be proud of your website, and have a platform that can scale. Will's going to walk you through that. Be sure to click the link below this video after you're done with it so that you can see other great videos like this by Will and other people we brought together in an event, a free event called the Enroll Summit, to help you get your first enrollments in your course, your coaching program, or your membership site. Enjoy the video.
Welcome everyone to the Techstatclarifier. In this training, we're going to clear up some confusion around what tools you need, what tools you don't need regarding your LifterLMS tech setup going from 0 to 10 enrollments. Or really, this could apply to any online course tool you're building with. It could be Kajabi, it could be LearnDash, any tool you're working with. We're going to dive into Techstackclarifier training. So the problem that we're addressing in this training is when you don't know what you need and what you don't need. Often when building with WordPress, this problem can come up when there's almost 60,000 free plugins on the WordPress repository and a lot more paid ones that aren't listed in WordPress here. So there's thousands and tens of thousands of tools. How do you know which one is going to work for you or which ones you should include in your tech stack? So the promise is we'll give you a checklist of questions to ask around your tools that's going to help you decide what you need, decide what you don't need. So let's dive into the 5 hot principles around this training and figuring out what tools you need and what you don't need. So the first step is to identify the goal of your site and of your platform. What solution are you trying to bring to students, and thinking in terms of how the tech can help you do that. And this ties into the second principle, which is pain. What is the pain point you're trying to solve? Is this a question that you frequently see in forums? Is it a popular topic of confusion in your industry? Looking at what are the goals and what are the pain points that you're trying to solve is going to be really important to determining what pieces you're going to need to include in your tech stack. If you have video courses, which most people do, you're going to need to look at video hosting like Vimeo Pro or Wistia Pro for making sure that you have all the licensing you need in order to be able to sell those paid videos, whereas YouTube unlisted in paid courses can be kind of a topic of some confusion as it kind of violates their terms of service a little bit. So really understanding the goal and the pain points you're trying to solve is going to help you figure out what tools you're going to need and not need. It's a really important step in evaluating. And then we're going to look at the essentials. What are the essential features of your website? Website hosting, an LMS, a payment gateway. What are some of these essential features that you're going to use as we're kind of laying out the blueprint of your site and the core tools that are going to go into it? We're not really looking at the furniture or the styling. We're just looking at the core essentials for your site. And then we're going to make a short list of what are the tools that you're going to use on your site, including themes and plugins. And for an MVP or for a clear tech stack, emphasis on short in short list. So if you can stick to less than 15, less than 10 plugins on your site, especially when getting started and getting from those 0 to 10 enrollments, that's really going to be key in figuring out the essentials. And oftentimes when going from 0 to 10, a lot of the emphasis is going to be on other parts of your business other than the tech. But it's important to have a solid short list of your LMS, your payment gateways, and your hosting, video hosting, and just the core components of your business. So we'll take a look at the short list. And then implementing. How are you going to implement what's on your short list? Are they plugins where you might need assistance with someone implementing if you're less technical and you don't want to sit through like an hour-long YouTube video learning how to implement the tech yourself? Maybe you're hiring this out to an expert, or just having a plan as to how you're going to implement these tools. And having the short list first will make it a lot easier to figure out the order that you're going to want to implement your tools. And then of course, how you're going to implement them. Are they plugins? Do you know how to install a plugin? Do you know how this plugin's set up? Do you have a couple video tutorials or documentation you know of related to this plugin that you're going to check out? Having a plan for implementation doesn't seem like a big step, but if there's not really a plan for implementation, you just kind of put everything up on your site and struggle through it, and it's a little bit of a chaotic, lost process. So if you can make your short list of tools that you're using on your site, and then make an implementation plan, even if it's super simple, 3 steps for each item, like installing the LifterLMS plugin, going through the LifterLMS Quick Start course, and setting up your first course, maybe an implementation plan for the LifterLMS core plugin, for example. But that's going to make a lot of a difference, especially when working with other people and coordinating your project. If you have other things going on in your life, having a simple implementation plan for each item on your short list is going to be important. So let's take a look at the model for this training. In your worksheet, you'll see this model laid out here, and on the next slide, it should have it filled in. I don't have like an iPad at the moment where I can draw out the model and fill it in live right here, but I did already have this filled out version that we can go through. So this is the 4 quadrants of the Techstatclarifier. And on the y-axis here, we see we have good hosting at the top and then poor hosting at the bottom. And then on the right side, we have Tech Maximalist or Tech Minimalist, and on the left side, Tech Maximalist. So we can kind of figure out what each of these boxes are based on, the X and Y axis here. So if we are Tech Maximalist and we have poor hosting, we're going to be down here in emergency room town, meaning our hosting is going to constantly be failing us, and we have a bunch of tech tools that are putting a lot of weight on our hosting, just causing more problems. And so in emergency room town, we're constantly submitting support tickets, constantly having issues due to caching, due to too many plugins, plugin conflicts, and load issues, all kinds of things like that. We're constantly having issues, and we can barely even run a site. And then if we were to continue to be a tech maximalist, but we were to go to good hosting, we would be in Frankenstein town, meaning we kind of have a Frankenstein's monster going on. We have a lot of products on our site, a lot of plugins, advanced themes, conflicts, and things going on, but we have a solid foundation. So it's kind of a cobbled together mess, but it kind of works. And so instead of constantly submitting support tickets, we have some like medium to high severity issues, maybe once every 2 months. So it's still not the best setup, but we're on a solid foundation, but we're still a tech maximalist. And stay on our poor hosting, but we clean up our tech tools. So we're a tech minimalist. We're operating on 20 or ideally 15 or less plugins on our site, but we're still on poor hosting. We end up in Confusion Town. And Confusion Town is kind of where we're going to be having unknown problems. We're using minimal tools. We're using just LifterLMS, a payment gateway, and then maybe a page builder and a simple theme, but we're still having some issues. And so we're ending up in Confusion Town, submitting a support ticket or reaching out for help to an expert or something once every 2 months because we're running into caching issues, we're running into load issues, we're running into site outage issues. So there's some elusive problems like that related to our foundation, even though we have a lightweight program we're running. And then if we upgrade to good hosting and are a tech minimalist, we end up in Easy Street Town. So Easy Street Town is, of course, where we want you to be, where you're not really running into problems very often. You're having kind of a low severity issue, maybe once every 3 months, for example. You're never really going to be able to escape issues entirely. There's always going to be technical issues popping up here and there. But in Easy Street Town, when we have good hosting and we're a tech minimalist, it's going to be a lot less frequent that we run into these issues, and it's going to be a lot easier to deal with when we do run into the issues. And all the way in the upper right corner of Easy Street Town, we have Momentum Town. When you have the best hosting plan possible, you communicate with your web host, they understand what you need very well. Maybe you're on WP Engine, Cloudways, and I know Nexus is another host that is a good one in the LifterLMS space. So you're on like a great host that understands your platform and what you're trying to do, and you're a total tech minimalist. You know exactly what every tool on your site is doing, and you have a specific plan for how that's helping you solve your customers' problems. You end up in Momentum Town, where it's not just Easy Street Town where it's easy to use your website. You're actually getting some traction based on how easy your site is to use, and you're just solving problems by default. So Momentum Town is ideally where we want to be, but it's important to understand where you're at in this process in order to understand what you should do to at least get to Frankenstein Town or Confusion Town, we see too many users in emergency room town. For example, I have a client in the court mandated classes space who was in emergency room town. We were using just a lot of tools when I came onto the project, and then moved on to, I believe it was like network solutions hosting. I don't want to kind of badmouth network solutions, but I guess it is a site or a website hosting service that I have seen a lot of clients struggle with. And so we moved this very Frankenstein's monster website onto poor hosting. There was outages, caching issues, and we ended up just constantly having problems. And it was all to try and save a couple bucks a month, but it ended up costing more in just support costs, in getting experts in to help figure out issues. And so eventually he moved on to a WP engine server. And so we also cleaned up all of the plugins he wasn't using. And so now he was in Easy Street Town. He's now operating in Easy Street Town, and I haven't really heard any issues for months now. Like that was like 6 months ago, and I've only heard a couple of things about students resetting their passwords. That's the only issues in the last 6 months, whereas he used to be in emergency room town having issues once a week, reaching out to me. Constantly, we had to use weird plugins to make things work. It was all kinds of chaos going on in emergency room town. So that's just I guess, a story of warning to try and get to Easy Street Town if you can. It's the best place to be for your site, especially an LMS site that has a lot of complicated features going on, like logins, passwords, and accounts, and all that kind of stuff. So let's take a look at the Techstatclarifier checklist. This is a checklist that you can use for each tool that you want to implement into your tech stack to figure out if it's a good decision or not. So the first checklist option here, or checklist item, is this plugin or theme helps me to meet the core goal of my business. So is this really helping you make more money or deliver more to your customers or answer your customers' questions? And that leads into the second one here. Is it difficult to solve the pain my customers are facing without this plugin or theme? If it's not difficult for you to continue to help people without this plugin or theme, or this plugin or theme does not offer significant improvement to your ability to answer your customers' problems or answer their questions or help them better solve their problems, the reason they came to your website, it might not be something you're going to want to put on your site when you're going from that 0 to 10 enrollments. Maybe later down the line, you'll want to take a look at more complicated tech and some more advanced features, but from 0 to 10, it's really important to focus on the essentials. And then the next item is this plugin or theme is an essential feature to my site, not a vanity feature. And that's kind of what we were talking about before regarding core and essential to solving the problem. And this plugin or theme would make my top 15 most important tools for my business right now. Now, the emphasis when going from 0 to 10 enrollments is really about fleshing out your business, fleshing out your offer, and making it as easy as possible for people to interact with your business. So we're looking at the top 15 most important tools. I've seen sites that have 0 students, but they have 75 plus plugins, and they're just constantly in emergency room town trying to figure out what's going on, all these conflicts. So it's important to really keep it minimal, especially from 0 to 10. And that will help you, hone in your business and what are the core features of your site. And the last one is I have a plan for how I'm going to implement this tool with my current setup. And so that's what we were talking about with the 5 hop principles. The 5 hop principles we talked about before map to each one of these checklist items. And so having a plan for how you're going to implement it, even if it's a simple 2 or 3 step plan, is going to help you mentally clear up where you're going with this tool and get it implemented for your website and get solutions out in the world for your students. And the last slide here is a bonus, Will's 0 to 10 stack. This is what I'd recommend as a simple tech stack if you're going from 0 to 10. In case you're curious about what I use, WP Engine hosting, super easy to set up. And then Cadence free core theme. You could use Astra, Cadence. These are some great free core simple themes in WordPress. The LifterLMS plugin, the LifterLMS Stripe plugin, a little bit simpler than PayPal, with LifterLMS Stripe at the moment. So that's what I would use there. That's what I do use there. And the email log plugin, that's just one that's always useful to have to track every email your website tries to send, whether it be a contact form submission or something like that. In case emails aren't being delivered, the email log plugin will cover you because you have a record of every email sent from your site. And then optional, maybe a tool like WP Forms or Gravity Forms, if you have a contact form you're trying to work in, or some other forms, those are some great tools as well. So that's my 0 to 10 enrollments stack there, and a short bio about me. But that's it for the Techstaclarifier. I think I've gone a little bit longer than 10 minutes for this training, but thanks for joining me in this training, and I hope to see you in the next one.
I hope you enjoyed that video. Now go ahead and click the link down below to get more great free videos by Will on exactly this same topic. And we brought together some other experts just like Will to help you get your first enrollments in your course, your coaching program, your school, your membership site. So just click the link below this video and check out the other great free training in the Enroll Summit.